Michael Jordan.
In 1982, Michael Jordan led North Carolina to the NCAA title. And when he arrived in the NBA 2 years later, he immediately soared to stardom.
Here comes Mr. Jordan is right.
I came into the league without publicity, but I have to make a name for myself and go out and play hard each time.
Air Jordan would electrify the entire league, and his exploits would become part of NBA lore.
Michael at the foul line, a shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it!
Establishing himself as one of the world's greatest players, Jordan combined his talent with a fierce will to win.
I'm a very competitive person. I mean, hate to lose. To compete, to win, that's all I live for, really.
Jordan achieved remarkable success as he led the Chicago Bulls to 3 straight NBA titles. But in 1993, he stunned the basketball world.
When I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball.
This week on Overtime, the story of Michael Jordan, Part 1.
In the long run, I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
He was the ABA. He revitalized the NBA.
Presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it up.
This man has a smile that lights up a television screen from here to Bangor.
There will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird.
Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scores. Oh, my Michael with his fifth win.
Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to Overtime, presented by America Online. When you're talking about Michael Jordan, widely considered the greatest player of all time, one show simply isn't enough to do him justice. So today, we begin our 2-part retrospective on Michael as we span his legendary career. He was selected by the Chicago Bulls with the 3rd pick in the 1984 draft, and he was expected to have an impact. But few could have imagined just how sensational he would be. Here's a look back at Michael the Rookie, who was already becoming a household name.
Fame has indeed come quickly for Michael Jordan, and not without good reason. As a 19-year-old freshman, he buried this game-winning jumper that gave North Carolina the NCAA championship over Georgetown.
Michael Jordan.
He strutted his stuff for the entire world, leading the 1984 U.S. Olympic team to gold, and now Chicago is hoping he'll bring his Midas touch to the Bulls.
I came into the league without publicity, but I have to make a name for myself and go out and play hard each time and work my way up. I can't go out and try to live up to crowd expectations, or I'm just going to mess up my whole total game. So I have to go out and play my natural game. And if we win it, I'm happy. If it pleases the crowd, then I'm happy also.
His first regular season visit to the Big Apple had the New York fans and media buzzing with excitement, as everyone knew Mr. Jordan had arrived.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. Hey, Michael.
Thanks. Have a good year. Thank you very much.
Inside the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, eager fans arrive early to get the best vantage point of Jordan's spectacular pregame warm-ups.
He plays the game with charisma. When he gets his hands on the ball, the fans react, and not too many players in our league that can you say that about. I think he's going to be the type player like Ernie Banks or Walter Payton that's going to be here for years, and people are going to say, hey, we have a true superstar.
Back in Chicago, Michael Jordan has already pumped new life into the previously troubled Bull franchise. Attendance is up dramatically, not only in Chicago, but wherever the Bulls' traveling roadshow happens to land.
Every place he goes, there's a full house. And we only have two players that come to my mind that pack the houses. Julius Erving in Philadelphia, Larry Bird in Boston. Now we have three.
Well, I think he's probably the most exciting player that's come into this league since probably Dr. J.
And of course, the inevitable comparisons have already begun.
When I first came into professional basketball, I came into the ABA, and there was talk about me being compared to different players at different times, and this is what will happen to Michael as time goes on, but you have to use the existing players and the past players as a standard of measure, and if you're going to talk about somebody, if you're comparing them with good players or players who have done real good things, then it's a compliment to both of them.
Well, it's always a big compliment just to be compared to great players like Dr. J, and I love to have the career that he had, and hopefully I can make a name for myself and not try to live off his name. I think Michael Jordan sounds pretty good to me.
During that first season, basketball was the easy part for Michael. He averaged 28 points per game and was named the NBA's Rookie of the Year. But the whirlwind of attention was a bit tougher to get used to. The player known as Air Jordan said his biggest challenge was simply keeping his feet on the ground. The following season would bring a different challenge, Michael's first real taste of adversity, as you'll see when we come back.
Get tomorrow's headlines today with NBA TV Insiders. Hosted by me, Spiro Ditas, who'll get the inside scoop on player trades, stats, and all the NBA news as we talk with league experts and insiders.
We welcome Mario Ellie to the Insiders. Coach Ellie, how are you?
If it happens in the NBA, you'll see it on NBA TV Insiders. Tune in to NBA TV Insiders next, only on NBA TV.
After his brilliant rookie season, things couldn't have looked any brighter for Michael Jordan. He'd already won championships in college and the Olympics, and now he was taking the NBA by storm. In 1985, Michael led the Bulls to a fast start. But early in the season, he encountered the first major setback of his career, a broken foot that sent him to the sidelines. Let's pick up the story in this clip from the home video, Come Fly With Me.
Injury. An athlete's worst nightmare. Not even the NBA's most celebrated performer could escape its wrath. In only the third game of his second professional season, Michael would hobble to the bench in great pain. But no one could foresee that almost an entire season would be lost. Trying to adjust was not an easy task.
Mentally, it was very hard for me to deal with because I wanted to get out and play. I was so used to playing whenever I wanted to play. And here I couldn't play because of my injuries.
At first, the 4-week prognosis was something Michael could deal with. But as the weeks turned into months, his frustration mounted with each passing game. The unfamiliar role of bystander had Michael at wit's end, and he needed to find a way to lessen the pain. Seeking comfort, the legendary Tar Heel returned to Chapel Hill. It was in this gym where the rehabilitation process would begin. Michael renewed his fervor for the game as his foot continued to get stronger.
Once I got that confidence and Though the feeling in the foot was getting stronger as I continued to play, it wasn't nothing anyone could have said that could stop me.
But concerned about re-injury, the Bulls wanted to delay his return. A rigorous training regimen was implemented to secure full recovery. Patiently, Michael waited for his day to come.
Checking into the game for the Bulls. He's back! Number 23, Michael Jordan!
Everybody told me, you're a fool for playing. You should go home and relax and come back next season and see what happens.
There's the double. Jordan,
Michael!
And once I got that opportunity to play, I felt I had to prove to people that I knew what I was doing. I was a competent individual. I wasn't doing anything to jeopardize my career. I really felt that I was healthy. I was back. And I wanted to make the playoffs. I always said that once I'm in Chicago, if I have anything to do with it, to make the playoffs each year.
Dateline, the playoffs. Mighty Boston sought their 16th World Championship. And for one afternoon, the time-honored legacy of Celtic pride would be confronted by the wave of the future. Time restraints were lifted. And Michael would make the most of his opportunity. A constant presence at both ends of the floor, he single-handedly dismantled the Celtic attack. Rendered helpless by his offensive onslaught, the core of the Celtics all tried their hands at stopping him, but without success. Even the most legendary of them all was helpless as Michael continued to score at a frantic pace. Absent for 62 games, Jordan sought retribution for lost time. On the verge of shattering a single-game scoring record, there was nothing that would stand in his way.
Michael in the drive across the lane, turnaround shot, got it! 63 for Jordan! A new NBA record has been set in the Boston Garden.
When I'm on my game, when I'm really on like I was in Boston, I don't think there's too many people that can stop me. I don't think there's anybody can stop me. And once I got off to a good start, I just felt like I couldn't stop. You know, I could run for days.
Have won it, and let the celebrations begin in Chicago. The Bulls are the world champions.
We did it. It's been a long struggle. We're going to be back here next year for another long struggle.
It took Michael Jordan 7 years to win his first NBA championship. And the biggest obstacle was the Detroit Pistons, who defeated the Bulls 3 straight times in the playoffs with their bruising style of basketball. But after putting the Pistons behind them, another rival loomed in the East, the New York Knicks, with a defense just as tough as Detroit's. From the home video Airtime, here is Michael's second-round showdown against the Knicks in the '92 playoffs.
We just came off a very convincing series against Miami. We thought we could waltz right through New York.
Knicks lead at 4-0.
Yes, sir. Oakley just came over and annihilated Bill Cartwright.
Knicks showing tenacious defense. 3. B.J. Armstrong with the spot up that shot. It's a block. That's a violation. It'll be the Knicks ball.
We anticipated playing them a certain way, and they came out totally different. Physical, hungry, aggressive.
Chicago is a confident, cocky team. They've sort of breezed through the league all season. They breezed through the first round of the playoffs, and right now, they're being challenged.
Big jam by Ewing. They are stunned here at Chicago Stadium.
They shocked us the first game in our place, which was very embarrassing to us. This team is for real. If anybody took them for granted, certainly we realize that they're a team to deal with.
If New York has an advantage, it's the feeling that they can muscle Chicago inside.
McDaniel into Ewing for the jam.
This is a big, physical, wide New York team that plays you tough, and it takes its toll on you.
Purdue with the bad pass. Wilkins follows. Jordan knocked it out of bounds. Chicago ball. What a great effort by Michael Jordan.
On top of Jordan off the screen. Makes the move. Comes back. Gets away.
It's a steal by Jordan.
We seem to have control of the series. We never really did. And they kept coming and taking it back.
Shot clock to 3. Ewing with the steal. It's a 3-on-1. Jackson behind the back.
People think because the Bulls are the world champion, we're supposed to just lay down and just let them do whatever they want to us. Hey, this is a game. This is a man's game.
Hit hard by Anthony, and Michael threw the ball at Anthony. Jordan is very upset.
This ball, but he's fouled on Jordan with a recovery, and Jordan is fouled. And back come the Bulls. Pippen, oh, he is ripped by Starks. This has become a war. Here's Ewing. Yes. And the Knicks continue the improbable finish. They send it to a 7 and final game.
No, they're fighting like cats and dogs, and then we just fell apart.
You think you recovered? You're going home for this race?
Do we have a choice?
Can you recover?
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
Some predicted a sweep, most a 5-game series, but be honest now, nobody thought it would go 7.
If we see a New York victory today, this might well rank as one of the biggest upsets in the history of the NBA.
Now, the New York series was one of those fatherly advice type of series. So I kind of asked him, what should I do? How should I attack? Should I feed off my teammates, or should I go out and be the leader and let them follow my lead? And like most fathers, I mean, he said, take the lead. If they don't follow you, they don't follow you. But you have to take the lead.
Cartwright, there's fouled hard by Oakley again. It's a flagrant foul again.
And now, McDaniel wants a piece of Pippen.
I was ready to go blows with him.
Both clubs going at each other. Michael Jordan and Xavier McDaniel having words.
I felt that I had to talk trash to the bully so we all can gain confidence.
Pippen to Jordan. Reverse, and he hit it with the left hand.
Oh, what a stick by Jordan. Jordan on fire. Here's Jordan splitting through. Jordan with the steal. And then it's stolen by Starks. McDaniel shooting away Jordan. It's a complete block. Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game.
That's just a part of the role that I have on the team, is to be able to lead. So that fatherly advice kind of worked in hand for me that day.
Jordan with the spin and the bucket. And the Bulls just rolling it up. This crowd providing a standing ovation. The Chicago Bulls take this grueling series in 7.
In 1993, Michael Jordan and the Bulls did what no team had done since the Celtics of the 60s. Chicago won its 3rd consecutive NBA title, and there was every reason to believe the dynasty would continue. But then in the fall of 1993, Michael made the announcement that stunned the basketball world. Saying he didn't have the motivation to continue, he announced his retirement from the game. The following year, the Bulls saluted their greatest player by retiring his famous number 23 jersey. And here's a portion of that ceremony.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. One more time! In 1984, when the Chicago Bulls drafted me number 3, it fulfilled a dream of mine of playing professional basketball. I've always had that dream. You never know if I was going to ever achieve that dream. But through the grace of God, who gave me this talent, I was able to excel through every stage to get to this point. Thank you. As you know, life goes in a big circle. I want to thank my mother, my brothers and sisters, my relatives, my aunt, my uncles, my father, if he's listening. At the age of 12 years old, he got me started playing the game of basketball. And for 19 years, that's all I ever thought about, I ever dreamed about. And it's come to this day. No one ever thought it would come to this point. But I'm very happy that I've had the opportunity to play the game of basketball for the length of time that I've played it, and met as many good teammates, good friends, good acquaintances, good corporate business friends, whatever, financially friends, whatever you want to call it, coaches who I've always admired, I've always respected. There wasn't one coach that I didn't listen and try to learn from. They all knew more about the game than I knew, and probably still know about the game, more about the game now than even I know at this point. But I respect them for taking the time to teach me the game of basketball. I promise it's going to be it to all of Chicago, even though this is the coldest city I've ever been in. It's been a great pleasure to play the game of basketball. You have given me an opportunity to expand on my life. Me and my wife have 3 beautiful kids. I thank you very much for that opportunity. And I will be around Chicago hopefully for the rest of my life, but my home is still North Carolina, and I appreciate that opportunity. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming. I really appreciate that.
So after 9 magnificent seasons, Michael Jordan was going out on top at the age of 30. At least that's the way it seemed at the time. But many found it hard to believe he would stay retired. And as it turned out, there would be a second act to Michael's career, and then even a third. We'll follow the rest of Jordan's journey on next week's show. I'm Bruce Beck, and we'll see you then on Overtime, presented by America Online.
He's been out of the game for at least a year. He wants to come back, and this town is going nuts.
Michael, please make my life complete. Come back.
Michael Jordan announced today he's coming back to basketball.
He will play for the Bulls tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers.
One guy said the words, "I'm back," and it set the world on fire. Just turned it upside down.
The economy has produced 6.1 million jobs since I became president. And if Michael Jordan goes back to the Bulls, it'll be 6,100,001 new jobs.
Best player, Michael Jordan shocked the world in 1993 by retiring from basketball. But after making a short-lived attempt to play baseball, Michael decided it was time to return to the NBA.
Michael Jordan announced today he's coming back to basketball. One guy said the words, "I'm back," and it set the world on fire.
What drove me back to the game was I truly loved the game.
Although his number was different, he was still the same old Michael.
55 points by Michael Jordan,
leading the Bulls to a second three-peat.
That may have been the last shot Michael Jordan will ever take in the NBA.
Michael would retire from the game once again, becoming an executive with the Washington Wizards. But his competitive fire still burned, and he would return to the court, this time in a Wizards uniform.
And you say, well, the young dogs are going to chase me around. Well, I'm not going to bark too far away from them either.
Though he was nearly 40 years old, he still displayed the brilliance that made him the game's greatest player.
He did it again! He did it again! He did it again!
And after 2 seasons with the Wizards, he said goodbye to the game, this time for good.
From an NBA standpoint, that's it. This is the last year.
This week on Overtime, it's the incomparable Michael Jordan, Part 2.
In the long run, I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
He was the ABA.
He revitalized the NBA. He presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it up.
This man has a smile that lights up a television screen from here to Bangor.
There will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird.
Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scores. Oh, my Michael with his fifth win.
Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to Overtime, presented by America Online. This week, we continue our look back at the amazing career of Michael Jordan. When we left off last week, Michael had just announced his retirement after leading the Bulls to 3 consecutive NBA titles. Almost as surprising as his retirement was the fact he decided to play minor league baseball for a year and a half. But in the spring of 1995, Michael left the diamond and returned to the game he loved best. With a 2-word announcement, "I'm back," he took the court once again, as we see in this feature from the video, Above and Beyond.
Today, Michael Jordan at age 32 tries to accomplish what no one else truly has in team sports history.
Michael Jordan has returned, and he's wearing number 45.
I knew my father would never see me playing another number, and I felt it was a new beginning, so why not change it back to something that I had played with when I first started in high school.
No tap, run your basic, okay? If tap, run your center opposite.
It was a very nervous experience for me because I never thought I would be playing again.
Jordan still looking for his first field goal, and there it is, Michael Jordan.
It felt really good to be back out there on the basketball court and with a different outlook about life and how I approach each and every day. I was making myself happy. You know, I was happy being there only because I chose to do so.
Here's Jordan going left to beat Scott. What a pass from Jordan! Bulls trail by 1. Michael, oh yeah! Welcome back.
If Michael received a warm reception in Indianapolis, it was nothing compared to the frenzy his return inspired in Chicago.
Jordan's back, right?
Yes!
Yeah, MJ's back. No matter where you look around the world, you'd never find another city like this one to welcome someone back with such open arms.
So happy to have that guy back,
From North Carolina, Edgar, Nick, Michael Jordan. Oh, man, we couldn't ask for anything better than this.
It made me feel good to be back home because I felt like I'd been away, like a kid going to college, and then now he's back home to see all his familiar faces.
Captain Pippen, this is Captain Grant, Captain Pippen.
Oh,
Captain Jordan, Captain Grant.
Here comes Jordan. Yes! Hard away to Grant, blocked by Jordan.
All the way inside. Upstairs! Yes! They loving it.
Michael, don't get sucked back in there. They're always looking for a guy to fill that spot right there.
The steal, Jordan! Look out!
Oh, yes! Here it is. They're on their feet. They love it.
That's what they came to see.
Michael did not leave the Chicago fans disappointed, but his most dramatic performance so far would come the next night in Atlanta.
The Hawks lead by 1. 5.9 remaining. More than just enough time for Jordan to work his magic. The inbounds to Michael. Racing the clock. Jordan for the win. Yes! I did it again! He is now back!
I love those moments that you can go in when no one expects you to and save the team from losing the game.
And he would stage yet another sensational performance in the next game under the bright spotlight of New York.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden. There is a media-sized crush here, and there's only one reason why. It has been the hottest ticket in town. You know, it's like the Beatles have arrived on the scene. They isolate Jordan against Bonner.
Look out.
Michael Jordan off to the fast start, this time to the pull-up. And he is on fire.
They're going to keep going to the well with Jordan and Starks. Double team. Oakley gets there. Too late. Oh! It's a three-pointer. For Michael Jordan.
Jordan off the turnover. Puts the move on Starks. Yes, and it counts. Michael Jordan.
I could read Starks' every move. You know, I basically had him at my disposal.
Working on Starks. Got him in the air. Michael Jordan has 55.
And that is a high for the NBA this season.
You got it started the other night against Atlanta. and you're just sort of building up to New York.
Michael's comeback tour had fans in a frenzy all across the country, and he sparked the Bulls to a 9-1 finish to the regular season, raising hopes for a 4th championship. But in the playoffs, Jordan couldn't conjure up his old magic, and Chicago lost in the second round to Orlando. So Michael made it a personal mission to regain his place at the top of the NBA, and he did, as you'll see when we come back. After his 1995 comeback ended with a playoff loss, Michael Jordan worked harder on his game than ever before, and all that work would pay off in the '96 season. Jordan regained his place as the game's best player, and the Bulls won a record 72 games on their way to the championship. They added a 5th NBA crown the following season, defeating the Utah Jazz in 6 games. 1998 would bring a finals rematch with Utah, and during that series, Michael sat down with Ahmad Rashad.
1997, Chicago Bulls against the Utah Jazz. Michael Jordan against Karl Malone. What was special about that series?
He just won MVP, you know, which a lot of people felt he was deserving of it, and I felt he was. You know, he put up numbers consistently each and every year. But I would alter that MVP so that, you know, we can get a world championship. So he had his day or his glory with the MVP of the league. He wasn't about to get it all in one year.
Bulls basketball and a chance to win it right here.
Kukoc has got the ball inbounds from Pippen, and here is Michael. 4 on the shot clock.
Recurring theme seems like every championship series. Game 1, last shot in your hands again.
As a leader, you want to be there for your team. And you've done it so many times that from an emotional standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, you know what to do.
4 on the shot clock now. Keeps it on the dribble. Russell's there.
MJ, top of the circle against Russell. Michael hangs, fires, score! And it Bulls win! He knocked it in at the buzzer. Bulls win! How many times has he done that?
When they give me that ball, I'm taking the weight of the City of Chicago as well as my teammates and the organization to make something happen and to win the game.
One of the highlights in sports, Game 5. You're sick, 103-degree temperature, and one of the greatest performances in any sport. Did that even amaze you, the way you played in that game?
I was amazed that I got through the game. I was amazed that I had that much impact on the game. In terms of the way I felt the night before and up to the game and even during the game, I didn't think I was going to succeed.
Stockton, who drives it across, makes a bad pass, and here comes Jordan. Here's that aggressiveness. Pippen's on the right. Here's the pass for the layup, missed it, and a slam by Jordan.
This will be the guttiest performance maybe all time.
The motivation was, I've always been there for my team. As long as I'm able to walk and run and shoot.
Wants to go on Hornacek. Demanded the ball. Back Michael. Open 3. Yes! They lead it. 38 points for the Kings.
Stuck a dagger at him with a 3.
Yes!
To do that and be successful, win a game, it's gratifying that you have pushed yourself to past a point that you didn't even think you can get past.
Game 6, another one of those scenarios where everybody thinks you're going to take the shot. Steve Kerr takes the shot. What went on in that timeout just before that?
John Stockton was gambling and just running all over the place. And I'm pretty sure after what happened in Game 1, where if I get in an isolated situation, no way are they going to let me isolate against Brian Russell. And I told Steve the time out before, don't be shocked if I find you open, you can shoot the shot.
Anybody but Michael Jordan takes this shot.
6 seconds. 5. Michael in traffic to Curl. 15-footer.
Pandemonium waiting for the United Center.
After winning the 1998 championship, the Bulls dynasty would come to an end. And in January of '99, Michael Jordan announced his retirement. He tried his hand at management as team president of the Washington Wizards, but the urge to play still burned deep within. And he had never completely closed the door on a comeback. So in the fall of 2001, he suited up yet again, this time in a Wizards uniform. As he got ready for the season, Michael talked about his return with Ahmad Rashad.
I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball. I've accomplished everything I could as an individual. I chose to walk away knowing that I can still play the game. Physically, I can't say that I'm any less than 99 right now because obviously I hadn't played for 3 years.
MJ can't be pleased with his squad's performance.
At 38, can I possibly come back and play at a level of basketball that that I left the game? The odds are that I probably can't.
Right in the hands of Jordan, who anticipated. Heads it back the other way, and Jordan.
Some people wouldn't want to see me out there playing, because they have a perfect perception of how my career should end.
The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
But ultimately, they don't get up and look in the mirror and say, hey, what if?
Speculation has ended. Rumors confirmed. The greatest player of all time is back, and he's wearing a Wizards uniform.
Who would have ever thought that 99.9% would have come to fruition in this way?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why I didn't say 100%, and you never know, and when you say that, never, you better be sure that, things are 100% that way, and I couldn't because of my love for the game, but I was pretty sure, when I left the game in '98, I was, pretty sure that I wouldn't come back to the game, 99.9% sure.
Hey, Mike, I got your book. I got your book, I got your poster right here, buddy. I know everything about you, Mike.
For you personally, having been gone for 3 years, what's it like being back in the arena? Were you a bit nervous the first time?
I'm nervous in every arena that I go in because I know and I can feel the expectation of the fans. And I've learned in the years of playing the game of basketball is that you're never going to be able to live up to what their expectations are. So I have to set my own expectations and live up to those, and hopefully at the end of the day, we all are happy.
Are you 100% happy that you're back?
Yeah, I'm happy I made this decision. I don't regret it. Things happen for a reason. I am just following the path that it's kind of been bestowed upon me, and I know it's going to lead me to wherever it's going to end. And I will appreciate everything that I've accomplished thus far.
Trying to go inside, Michael spins. It's good. What a shot by Michael!
And Michael looked over at us and said, "He can't guard me. He can't guard me."
You had the utmost confidence. Your confidence level was through the roof. Where is it now?
On top of the roof. I don't think my confidence changed. I wouldn't have come back into this situation lacking any confidence that I can play this game. I know I can play this game. I know I can play it at the highest level and successfully. So I haven't lacked any confidence. I still think I can get on the brink of cockiness, because of my experience. But, I haven't lost respect, though. I respect every opponent that I play, and I would imagine that they were going to have to respect me, too. So, I'm confident, but I'm not overconfident. And you say, well, the young dogs are going to chase me around. Well, I'm not going to bark too far away from them either. I'm pretty sure they're sitting back and welcoming the challenge. Guess what? I'm sitting back and welcoming the challenge, too.
One of the points that you made one time when we were talking about the superstars of today that would be facing you this year, you said that one thing would be for sure, that they would be more nervous playing against you than you would be playing against them.
Well, I mean, based on what everybody's saying, no one knows what I'm capable of doing. I think they know in the past of what I'm capable of doing, but I don't think anyone knows what type style of game that I can play, and at what point will I get back into that zone. I'm not going out trying to face the superstars of today and try to outgun them, but the unknown is a scary thing, and right now it's so much unknown about me that I'm pretty sure they're going to have to think about.
Just weeks into the 2003 season, Michael Jordan decided it was time to step away from the game, this time for good. Michael announced it would be his final season as a player, and he kept making history right to the very end, becoming the first 40-year-old to score at least 40 points in an NBA game. In February 2003, he was named to the All-Star team for the 14th time, and that weekend he sat down with John Thompson to reflect on his career.
I tell people that from my observation of you, you're one of the most competitive individuals that I've ever seen. I would imagine if you were playing jacks with somebody, you'd want to kill them. Have you ever met anyone that you felt was as competitive as you are?
No. I just feel that my competitive drive is far greater than anyone else that I've met. I think that I thrive on that. I think that's my biggest motivation in life, is to compete, find different competitions in certain things in life and try to overcome that, be it positive or negative. But I have yet to meet someone who is as competitive as me, and I just feel that much confident about my competitive drive.
I want to ask you some true and false questions. Just three.
Just three, okay.
Just three. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever.
False.
Why?
Because I didn't play against, all the great players prior to me, and I had those other players to influence my game. It's a great honor, don't get me wrong. But I love to have played against Jerry West to determine if I was a better guard than him or Oscar Robertson, but we'll never know.
Michael Jordan, had he stayed with baseball, would be playing in the big leagues now.
I believe that. A lot of people may not, but I believe that. And I gave, for that short amount of time, I gave the dedication to the game of baseball a true effort. It wasn't I wasn't there making money. I wasn't trying to endorse any product. I was truly there for the love of the game. I was up at 6 o'clock with bloody blisters all over my hand, just trying to show that I could play this game. I grew up playing this game. I loved baseball. And at the time that I stepped away was a time where, I was being asked to be, being thrown into a situation that involved, baseball strikes and things of that nature. And that was never my intent, So I kind of walked away before I was thrust into that whole event.
Michael Jordan will absolutely never play in another NBA game after this season.
That's a fact. I will not play in another NBA game. I would play basketball. I'm glad you said NBA game. But I got kids who love the game of basketball. I got friends who love to talk trash about me. I got a lot of young kids who love to compete against me at my camp. I'm still going to play the game of basketball. But from an NBA standpoint, that's it. This is the last year.
In his final All-Star game that weekend, fans got a chance to see some vintage Jordan. He became the all-time leading scorer in All-Star history and also hit a dramatic shot in overtime that gave the East the lead. But perhaps the most memorable moment came at halftime, when the NBA held a tribute for Jordan. And we'll leave you with part of that ceremony as Michael says goodbye to basketball.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I must say, on behalf of all of you, my former teammates, my former adversaries, my competitors, I want to thank my family for sticking with me for so many years as I chased my dreams of playing basketball. For all the fans who supported the game of basketball, not just Michael Jordan. I thank you for your support. I leave the game in good hands. So many great stars still in the game, so many great stars rising and playing the game. I have passed on the things that Dr. J, some of the great players, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, has passed on to me. I pass on to these all-stars here, as well as the rest of the players in the NBA. I thank you for your support. Now I can go home and feel at peace with the game of basketball. Thank you very much.